I'm going to show you my final app that I did. But first, before I do that, I'm going to show you my UML diagrams. So I'm going to show you my use case diagram first. So let's see. So it's called a monthly personal monthly budget. So what this app does is that the user will be able to create a user account, and then the user will log in, and after that there will be a view that will have a couple of links that will like a navigation menu. So the user will be able to create a new budget report, open an existing report, but that's only happening if a report is already created and saved in the database, which I'm using Firebase for that. And so this is there's the login, which includes a registered user, and the exit report, or in this case will be a back button that I will include in some of the views, not all of them. So my open report includes, so the user will be able to update, delete an expense, add an expense, and then after that, there will be a function that will calculate all the expenses, and another one will calculate all the savings. And same thing with the create report. It will do the same thing and be able to save it. So it can be reopened and you can update it again. You can then exit the report and log out, and that's all. So my use case, my state diagram. So this is the whole thing. You select the app where all the apps are in the background or your mobile device. Then it loads the app. Once it's loaded, create the user interface once it's built. So it's going to display the user interface, and then the user will enter the email and password and then authenticate after that. And if it failed, we'll be able to re-enter the user and password for up to 5 times, and up to 5 times it will be locked for about 10 to 15 minutes. I can't remember what I put, but that's the time. And then if it's authenticated, it's successful. So it will be taken to the view, to the main view where all the links will be. So the open, and create, and log out. And this is for the registration. So sign up link. So once you generate all that user interface and the user enters the information, it will be it will send it to create state to create a new user with an email and password. And if it already exists, it will fail. And if not, it will be successful. If it's not created yet, so once it's created, it will be back into the login screen so that I can log in. And here you can update, delete, display the report, but that's the open report. I'll close the report where I changed it for the back button instead. And that's all the same logic. So my sequence diagram is bigger. You can see everything that I have is not perfect, but that's kind of that logic. The user will select on the sign up link, then send it to the login activity, or just request that user registration activity to open, so the user can display it and enter an email password, and then click the register or sign up button, and it will go to Firebase to create it, and the Firebase will get a response. The user will see if it was successful or not. So this is a login. The user will sign in with an email password, and if it's successful, it will see, it will open the main activity that contains all that menu, navigation menu links, and if not, it will fail, and the user will be able to re-enter the username and password. So for the main view, it will start a new activity when the open report is selected, and then the view will be displayed, and that's same thing for each one of the other activities, independent what the user will do. The user will save it, click on the save button. Once the user filled out all the fields, we'll post it into Firebase, and the Firebase will be sending a response, so the user will see a string like successful or not. So when the user clicks logout, so it will be sent a sign out of Firebase. So the user will be signed out of Firebase or database, and the login activity will be displayed. It's not really useful, or my explanation wasn't that good, but this is my code. I have, this is, okay, my main activity is this is the login. It has all the declaration for each of my edit text fields, for the email password and the login button and the sign up link. So I have created a variable for Firebase auth and a process dialog that I want to display during the login, or yes, during the login. So if the user is already logged in, so start the main app activity that contains all the links. And this is creating a progress dialog. And these are my event listeners for the link and for the sign up link and the login button. So this is on the view that I have on the action bar. If I'm sorry, this is for the login button and the sign up link. So if the login button is clicked, this is a call to the user login method. And if the user clicks on the sign up link, it will start the user registration activity. So this is my login. I have the email and password that the user enters in each field is converted to a string and saved in those variables. So if the user enters an email or password that is not valid, or something that, yeah, so this is the logger stops the execution if one of them are empty. So if the user leaves one of the edit text fields empty, it says please enter an email address or a password. So the progress dialog will show that say login user. So this is the actual login or signing into Firebase with an email and password that the user entered. So if so, the user login progress dialog will be dismissed. So you don't want it to see that. You don't want it to display if it's successful. So if it's successful login, so the app menu activity will start. So the user registration is very simple. Get all the edit text fields, all the local variables and assignations, assignments. And so the login button, the register button is clicked once the user filled out everything. So this is the register user method. Same thing, if one of the fields are empty, he will be prompted to enter something into the fields. So this is the create username with email and password. This will create a new account with email and password and be stored in database, so the user will be able to log in with that account. So if the registration is successful, the user will see a message saying user registration successful. And if not, it's just gonna register because this email is already registered plus try again with a different email. So if that's successful, you create an intent, which I named go to login view event. This will open the app menu activity if it's successful. So this is the app menu activity. So it has one edit text view and 3 text views. So the edit text view is just a single string that says logged in as, or logged user will. So in this, that's a different one. So here, the email account of the current logged in user will be displayed in that edit text view. So these are my 3 links, which are text views. So again, if the user is already logged in, it will be sent to this activity, and also this activity will be open. So you create, so you get the current user, so put the Firebase and the name, whatever, and call the Firebase out get user, get current user, and save it there. So here in the edit, in the text view, I'm displaying that user get email. So the email that you get from Firebase for the current user logged in will be displayed. So the open report link is displayed, the open report activity is open, and so forth. And if it's if you click logout, you go to the main, which is the login again. So the create report, the user will see like a form or table with fields that the user will enter for each required field. So like the income, monthly income, phone bill, and all that. And then assign each of those names of each of the edit text and all that from the view, or the layout. In this case, assign it to those variables. So here, initialize an instance of Firebase with the Firebase Alpha instance. So I also want to get a reference because I'm going to save the data in that reference. So this is for the action bar. If the user clicks on the back icon, the app menu activity will open. So this go back to that, or if it clicks on the save button, the calculator results are stored to database to Firebase with the code. So this is the one that is going to calculate all the results. So the total expenses and total savings. So I'm getting all those values and converting into a string and saving them or storing them in an array of strings. Then I loop through each of the strings. And if one of the strings are empty, I set it to 0, only to the ones that are empty, so that you don't get any empty string errors when you try to parse it into a double. So I'm creating a new array of doubles, and I'm saving the values or the elements from the string or array into doubles. I'm parsing into double and saving it there, so I can use it for the calculations. So I'm looping. This is all the sum. Oh, I'm using a loop to sum all the total expenses. I'm starting at 1 because if I start at 0, that's including the monthly income. And then the total savings is the first element minus the total expense result. And I'm storing those results in another array. So I'm converting each of them, the first and second value, into a string and put it or in the set text. So I'm setting the text and put in those result values, so the user will be able to see it in that view. And I'm creating a hash map and putting each of those values, including the calculated values, and I'm going to store this hash map in the database, so I don't store each of the values like I was doing it below. So I get the reference, database reference, and call the child. Use the child, which is called monthly budget, or that's what I'm going to name it. I'll set the value. So the value will be the name of the hash map and convert it into a string. And then once it's done, I want the user to be able to see that it's saved. So it will be displayed a saved string or message. On the open report, just getting all the data from Firebase. So I'm going to put everything in a list view, just for a quick example. And creating a database reference, rate list, and array adapter. So I have a list view and an adapter, and assigning the adapter the array list of the string. So we're able to display the list, the whole thing. So set the adapter here to the view, to the list view. And then this is assigning my reference, my database instance, or referencing to my local variable. And then I'm creating a child event listener. So every time the data changes, I'm getting all that data from Firebase. So here I get a string value, which is my variable name that I will be, where I'm going to store all that data retrieve. So for the data snapshot, get the value of all the data, and then the list, which is my array list, and I'm adding this string value into the array list. And so that's all. I'm going to show you now how it actually works. So this is, I'm going to register. I'm going to put my email that I want to create. I'll just put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sign up. It was successful. Now, well, I'm already logged in. But if we log out and log in, since we already registered. So again, so we'll go to Firebase first. So we see now this is the email that registered. This is the database, which is empty right now. So we'll add some data. So what if we make up some numbers? Doesn't matter. So now click on that. This is the save button. Now it's saved. You see it already saved in here in Firebase. So the data is all here. It's not sorted, but it's not necessary. So you go back and then open the budget report. So it's gonna get this data saved. And you see that it's just getting the data, but it's not formatted really well. So you can see that like in a form of a table, but that's what this app does. So let's log out. And thank you for watching this video.